The chilly wind of New York City swept through the streets, carrying with it the faint scent of roasted chestnuts from a vendor's cart. It was late November, and the sidewalks were bustling with people, wrapped in thick coats, scarves, and gloves, hurrying to their destinations. Amid the chaos, a lone figure sat against a graffiti-covered wall. A homeless man, his beard unkempt, his clothes tattered, and his hands clutching an old coffee cup. His name was Charlie Whitman, once a promising financial analyst on Wall Street. A series of unfortunate events, market crashes, a personal tragedy, and a bad investment had left him penniless. He had no family to turn to, no home to return to. Life had pushed him to the edge, but despite everything, Charlie held on to one belief. Generosity always comes back in ways one cannot imagine. On that particular evening, Charlie noticed a young boy walking past him. He was tall for his age, with golden brown hair swept neatly to the side. He wore a well-fitted coat that likely cost more than Charlie had seen in months. The boy looked familiar, but Charlie couldn't place him immediately. Then he heard the whispers from passers-by. "Is that Barron Trump?" One woman murmured to her friend. "Yes, the president's son. What's he doing out here alone?" Charlie's eyes widened. Barron Trump, the son of the sitting U.S. president. He had seen the boy's face in newspapers, but here he was, just a few feet away, observing the city like any other teenager. Something inside Charlie stirred. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the only dollar he had left. It was crumpled, barely holding together at the edges, but it was his last dollar, his final possession. Without hesitation, he called out, "Hey, kid!" Charlie's voice was rough, weathered by the streets. Barron turned, slightly startled but intrigued. His blue eyes met Charlie's tired, deep-set ones. "Take this," Charlie said, extending the dollar toward him. Barron hesitated. "Why?" he asked, his voice calm but curious. Charlie chuckled, his lips cracking into a smile. "Because sometimes, giving away your last dollar brings you more riches than keeping it." The words hung in the air like a lesson passed down through generations. A few onlookers stopped to witness the odd exchange, a homeless man giving money to the president's son. Barron slowly extended his hand and took the dollar. He stared at it for a long moment, running his fingers over the worn edges. He could have easily walked away, dismissed it as an odd encounter, but something in Charlie's words lingered. Instead of putting the dollar in his pocket, Barron did something no one expected. He sat down next to Charlie on the cold sidewalk. The homeless man raised an eyebrow. "What are you doing, kid?" Barron smiled. "I want to understand why you gave me this." Charlie let out a low whistle. "You're a strange one, aren't you?" The two sat in silence for a moment, the noise of the city buzzing around them. A secret conversation was about to begin, one that would soon change the course of history. The cold pavement beneath them didn't seem to bother Barron. He sat beside Charlie, turning the crumpled dollar in his fingers. People passing by stole quick glances, some whispering in disbelief, others snapping photos on their phones. A homeless man and the president's son, an unlikely pair. Charlie, accustomed to the indifference of the world, chuckled. "You really are something else, kid. Most folks your age wouldn't give me a second look, let alone sit next to me." Barron smirked. "I could say the same about you. Most people wouldn't give away their last dollar." Charlie leaned back against the wall, exhaling slowly. "Life has a funny way of teaching lessons. Years ago, I had money, lots of it. Lived in a penthouse, had a career in finance. But I made mistakes, trusted the wrong people, and lost everything. The ones I helped along the way? They disappeared when I needed them most." Barron listened intently. He had grown up in luxury, surrounded by wealth and power, but there was something in Charlie's voice, a depth, a pain, a wisdom that drew him in. "And yet," Barron said, tapping the dollar against his knee, "you still give?" Charlie nodded. "Giving isn't about what you have. It's about what you believe. I believe that when you give selflessly, something good always comes back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday." Barron fell silent, staring at the dollar again. His father, Donald Trump, had taught him about business, power, and wealth. But this was something else entirely. After a few moments, Barron stood up and tucked the dollar into his coat pocket. "I'm going to do something with this." Charlie raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Barron grinned. "You'll see." And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving Charlie in puzzled silence. A plan in motion. Back at Trump Tower, Barron sat at his desk, the dollar still in his hand. He had everything at his disposal, resources, connections, and an entire empire, but he wanted to honor the spirit of giving that Charlie had shown him. He picked up his phone and made a call. "Hey, I need your help with something crazy." His friend on the other end laughed. "You always do." "No, seriously. I have $1, and I need to turn it into something bigger." "Bigger? Like what?" Barron's eyes gleamed with determination. Something that could change lives. And thus, an idea was born, an idea that would soon captivate the entire world. The next morning, Barron Trump sat at the grand dining table in Trump Tower, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and pancakes filling the air. Across from him, his mother, Melania Trump, sipped her tea while reading the news. "You seem deep in thought," she observed, glancing at her son. Barron nodded. "I have a question, Mom. If you had just $1, how would you turn it into something big?" Melania set down her cup, studying her son curiously. "A single dollar? That wouldn't even buy a coffee." "I know," Barron admitted, "but what if you had to grow it into something meaningful?" Melania smiled. "I suppose I would invest it wisely, like your father would." Barron chuckled. "Yeah, but I'm thinking about something different. Something unexpected." His mother arched an eyebrow. "What exactly are you planning?" Barron leaned forward, placing the crumpled dollar on the table. "I want to see how far this dollar can go, not for me, but for others. I want to multiply it and use it for something bigger than myself." Melania looked at the dollar, then at her son, and saw a spark of something rare. "That's a noble idea, Barron. But it won't be easy." Barron grinned. "That's what makes it fun. The trade begins." Later that day, Barron met up with his friend Jake Peterson, the son of a well-known venture capitalist. "So, let me get this straight," Jake said, crossing his arms. "You want to trade that dollar for something worth more and keep going until it turns into something huge?" Barron nodded. "Exactly." Jake laughed. "Dude, that sounds like one of those barter challenges on YouTube." Maybe, Barron admitted, but this isn't just for fun. It's for something bigger. Intrigued, Jake pulled out his wallet and handed Barron a $5 Starbucks gift card. "Let's see what you can do with that." Barron smirked. "Watch me." Turning small into big. Barron took the Starbucks gift card to a local cafe near Central Park. He approached a young woman working on her laptop. "Hey, do you like Starbucks?" he asked. She looked up, surprised. Yeah." Barron pulled out the gift card. "I'll trade you this $5 Starbucks card for something worth more." The woman raised an eyebrow. "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm on a mission to grow this dollar into something meaningful." Intrigued, she reached into her bag and pulled out a brand new, unused phone case. "This cost me $10. Let's trade." Barron grinned. "Deal." And just like that, the single dollar had grown tenfold. The momentum builds. Over the next few days, Barron kept making trades. The phone case became a pair of premium headphones, the headphones turned into a designer watch, and the watch became a collector's item that was worth nearly $1,000. The story began to spread. People started following his journey online. News outlets picked up the story. President's son turns homeless man's dollar into a social experiment. But Barron wasn't doing this for attention. He had one goal in mind: to honor Charlie's generosity. And the world was about to witness something truly incredible. Barron Trump's journey of multiplying Charlie's $1 bill was now the talk of the internet. Social media exploded with hashtags like #Barron's Dollar Challenge and #1$Miracle as millions followed his progress. The trades had snowballed. What started as a simple Starbucks gift card had turned into a collector's watch worth $1,000, but Barron wasn't stopping there. He knew this journey wasn't just about accumulating value, it was about creating impact. The big leap. One evening, Barron sat in his room scrolling through messages from people around the world. Some offered to help while others shared their own stories of giving. But one message stood out. It was from Elon Musk. "I see what you're doing. Fascinating. How can I help?" Barron stared at the message, stunned. The world's richest man was paying attention? He quickly responded. "I want to turn this into something that changes lives." Within hours, Barron received an invitation to meet Musk at SpaceX headquarters. When he arrived, the billionaire entrepreneur greeted him with a grin. "You're thinking big." "I like that," Musk said, leading Barron into a sleek conference room. Barron placed the collector's watch on the table. "I started with $1. I want to turn it into something huge, maybe something that could help people like Charlie." Musk thought for a moment, then pulled something from his pocket, a Tesla Founders Series Powerwall battery, a rare item valued at over $25,000. Let's see what you can do with this, Musk said, handing it over. Barron's jaw dropped. The dollar had just taken its biggest leap yet. The auction that shocked the world. News of Barron's journey had reached some of the most powerful circles. Celebrities, business moguls, and philanthropists were all watching, waiting to see what he'd do next. So, Barron put the Tesla Powerwall up for auction. Within minutes, bidding skyrocketed. $30,000. $50,000. $75,000. Finally, the winning bid came in $150,000 from a tech CEO who wanted to support Barron's cause. At just 17 years old, Barron had turned a homeless man's single dollar into $150,000. But the most important question remained, what would he do with it? Barron didn't hesitate. He walked back to the same New York street where he had met Charlie. The cameras were rolling. The world was watching. Barron approached Charlie, who was still sitting in his usual spot, unaware of how far his simple act of generosity had traveled. "Hey, Charlie." Charlie looked up, squinting. His eyes widened in disbelief. "You again? You actually did something with that dollar." Barron smiled. "Yeah. And now I want to do something for you." He placed a check for $150,000 in Charlie's hands. Charlie Whitman sat frozen on the cold pavement, staring at the check in his hands. His rough fingers traced over the numbers. $150,000. His breath caught in his throat. This had to be a mistake. He looked up at Barron Trump, the president's son, standing before him with a warm smile. The same kid he had given his last dollar to, now handing him a fortune. This can't be real," Charlie whispered. "How? Why?" Barron sat down beside him just like he had on that first night. "Because you gave me your last dollar, expecting nothing in return. That inspired me. So I turned it into something bigger." Tears welled up in Charlie's eyes. No one had ever done anything like this for him. Around them, a crowd had gathered. News cameras flashed, journalists whispered, and people streamed the moment live. The world had followed Barron's journey, and now they witnessed its purpose. A new beginning. Charlie gripped the check, his hands shaking. "What am I supposed to do with this?" Barron smiled. "Whatever you want. But I have an idea." Charlie listened as Barron proposed a plan, not just to help Charlie, but to help others like him. Together, they established the $1 Foundation, an initiative aimed at helping homeless individuals rebuild their lives through financial literacy programs, job training, and housing assistance. Charlie, once a forgotten man on the streets, became its first ambassador. The foundation's mission was simple: prove that even the smallest act of kindness can multiply into something life-changing. The world takes notice. The story became an international sensation. Billionaires and celebrities donated millions to the foundation. Volunteers lined up to help the homeless community. Schools and universities introduced Barron's journey as a lesson in generosity and perseverance. Even former President Donald Trump made a rare public statement about his son's actions. Barron has done something truly incredible. This isn't about politics, this is about humanity. I've never been prouder. The final words. Months later, Charlie Whitman stood in front of a packed auditorium at a foundation event. He wore a clean suit, his hair neatly combed, a far cry from the man who once sat on a cold sidewalk. He held up a single crumpled dollar bill, similar to the one he had given Barron. "This," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "was all I had. But today it's a symbol of hope." The audience erupted in applause. Meanwhile, Barron stood in the back, smiling. He knew this wasn't the end, this was just the beginning. Because one act of kindness can change a life. And one life can change the world.